This week's story is called The Tears of Galanas. These gems were found in a burial mound in northern England, the museum curator said. Bones found with them were carbon dated to the late 8th century, maybe the early 9th. I took pictures of the gems, looking closely at them. 7 total. They were teardrop-shaped and a pastel blue set in a field of pearly white. What are they made out of? Sapphire? An excellent question, Bjorn. They are moonstone, the curator said. 7 nearly identical specimens. Is that normal for someone to be buried with something like this? I asked, making a few notes. To my knowledge, it is unique to this one, the curator said. This must have been a king. I let some of my fellow grad students walk around me while I stared at the stones. Something about them seemed familiar. It drew me in. The 7th gem shimmered. They were the color of an early spring, cloud-covered sky. The kind with the salty breeze, the sound of the waves played against the dark cliffs. I could taste the salt spray, feel the wind ruffling through my hair. Was I dreaming? Distant seagulls dotted the sky, their cries growing fainter as they flew away. Sheep bleated in the hills. You shouldn't be here, a man said. Though he spoke a language I didn't know, I understood him. We are not ready. The man wore a rough spun tunic, pants of the same material, leather boots. He held a staff in one hand. The other he held a pack. On his back was a type of stringed instrument, not a guitar, smaller, but similar. Who are you? I asked. Galanas, my liege. Go home. We'll meet by the fire. I stood at the display case, showcasing the 6 gems. There was an indentation for the 7th, but it wasn't there. The 6th gem shimmered. The dream again. The air had a salty tang to it. I turned and found myself on the cliffs again. The sun had set behind me, and I looked out at the darkening sea. A boat sailed on the horizon. Lanterns lit the prow and stern. A longship. I walked along the cliff, heading south, toward the lights of a small village. A large bonfire pierced the night. The sea churned against the cliffs. The air had cooled. Winter had come. I approached the first house and looked in. A man and a woman sat by a fire, eating some type of stew. They spoke, but I somehow understood them. If you are looking for Galanas, my liege, he's by the bonfire, the man said, taking to one knee and bowing his head. Thanks. If I may be so bold, your clothes, the woman said, bowing. What are they made from? Polyester, I think, I said. I've never heard of that. I left the woman and walked to the edge of the village, to the edge of the cliffs, to the bonfire. Only one man was around it, Galanas. He raised his hands. Now is the right time, Galanas said. But we don't have much, my love. The heathing Dane are there. The old words for Viking. We didn't have much time at all. Do you know me? I asked. Galanas stepped close, pressed a hand to my cheek. More with each passing day, my love. Who are you? I asked. The man who loves you, Galanas said. Take this. It will protect you. He placed in my hand a small stone carved into a bird. What is this? Before Galanas could answer, the sound of oars and of splashing and men yelling some war chant came from the base of the cliffs. Take this, and remember our love. Go, my liege. Our time has ended. I woke on the floor. 2 people above me. A blood pressure cuff on my arm. One woman flashed a small light in my eyes. What happened? I said. Tell me what you remember, she demanded. Her eyes flashed violet for a moment, and her full red lips smirked. The name on her uniform said Morgan. I was looking at the moonstones, I said. I don't remember anything after that. How many did you see? She asked. 6 or 7, I said. Why? There's only 5 now, she said. She nodded and smiled, revealing yellow and black-stained teeth. Did you see anyone else? No, I didn't take the stones. They were in a glass case. The curator returned. Is Bjorn all right? I sat up to look at him. I held a small carved bird in my hand. Galanas' bird. What's that? The woman with the flashlight said, drawing her hand away from it. A gift from a friend, I said. When I closed my eyes, I remembered Galanas' face, the salty air, the fire. Somehow, I knew that the 5th stone shimmered. I was back in the dream. The fire had burned out. Small houses stood abandoned. At the base of the cliff lay the remains of the Viking longship. Galanas stood by the empty, smoldering wreck. He looked up when I arrived, then bowed. I've been expecting you, my liege. My liege, I said. Everyone keeps calling me that. I don't understand. In time you will. For we have time, Galanas said. Time to live as we want, and not by the whims of a wizard. I stared into his eyes, green like new leaves, filled with spring and wonder and hope and love. I did not remember him, but the feelings I had for him awakened. He saw it in me and embraced me. His lips became one with mine. Our kiss, long, deep, filled with the scent of roses about us. I wanted him. I needed him. It had been too long. The feel of his kiss was familiar, but I could not say why. His arms about me healed an ache inside me that I had never known existed. As I held him, I felt his tears wet my face. I love you, I said. And I you, Galanas said. You are my strength, my life, my king, my unconquerable bear. A man growled behind us. No, 2 men, 3, no, 5. I raised my hand, and a sword appeared in it. By Lady Vivian's power, you shall not kill this day, but be killed by my blade. I had never held a sword before in my life, yet I knew how to use it. The Vikings were clumsy brutes, no armor, no shields, only fury. I had dealt with similar creatures, bigger and more ferocious than these. I parried a blow, sidestepped another, and stabbed the leader. As he fell, I pushed his body back into the other men and stabbed a second. The 3 that survived backed away, but they had forgotten Galanas, he of the shining blade made holy by his devotion. I did not know how I knew that. Galanas held his musical instrument. It changed into a shining sword, and he slew 2 more Vikings. Yield, I yelled to the 5th. He dropped his club as a woman's voice yelled, I do not tolerate failures. The final Viking vanished in flame. He's waking up. I opened my eyes to harsh lights, dry, cool air, and the smell of disinfectant. What did you do? Nothing, a woman named Morgan said. He just opened his eyes. Concussion? Head trauma? No sign, Morgan said. He keeps passing out. I've called 911, and the paramedics are on the way. I took a deep breath as memory flashed through me. I was lying on a small boat, face up, sailing into eternity, alone. I held my sword. A great sword strike had dealt me a mortal blow. My bastard son had struck me, almost killing me in his insane rage. It must be a hallucination. I did not have a son. I was old enough to father one, but all thoughts of children waited until after my studies. Those storms Bjorn was looking at, only 4 are left. Who keeps taking them? My liege, allow me to undo a great wrong. I sat up, looked about, to be greeted by an old man with a long gray beard in a business suit, and leaning on a cane. He had a tie pin in the shape of a sword. The dream formed around me. The 4th stone shimmered. I knew that, but I don't know how I knew that. The wind blew about me, and I rested on the edge of a cliff, not far from the remains of the bonfire. The small village. I had returned. I looked about for Galanas, but did not see him. Who are you? I asked. A friend from long ago, one who you trusted without question. I ask that you trust me again. The man in the business suit said. What is your name? I will not burden you with that knowledge at this time. What is this place? I asked. It is your home, or all that remains of it, the man said. It is waiting for you to build it anew, the place where you can find peace, if you look for it, and for him. Do you mean Galanas? I said. Your heart remembers what your head cannot, the old stranger said. That it is not his name any more than yours is Bjorn. You are the great bear, guardian of England, and gave much for those you loved. I've never been to England, I said. You were born here, the old man said. Harsh lights, sirens, a sense of motion. Good, he's awake again, Morgan said, smiling. My wife betrayed me with my truest friend. The throne became a cursed thing. Alone, I wandered the drafty halls. The ambulance jostled. His blood pressure is crashing. We're losing him, Morgan said. Until he came, squire for my truest friend. Then he became a knight. 10 years my junior. We talked each night. We walked in the gardens. We rode through the countryside. He became my closest, dearest friend, while my truest friend was unfaithful with my queen. Yet to say anything would destroy all I had built. One night, as we walked in the gardens, everything changed between us. Our passion almost led to our dishonor, but our love kept us loyal to our vows. Our love bound us together. Though I was never unfaithful to my queen, and he was never unfaithful to his duty, our souls were forever bound in love. By the old gods and the new one. I wish I could have been his in body as well. He left for a year so we would remain steadfast, though neither of us wanted it. When the betrayal of my queen became known and destroyed all that I had built, my love returned in time to watch my life ebb away. He avenged me. Then with my old friend's help, set my body on a small boat to sail so that I would live. Only 2 of the moonstones remained, the Tears of Galanas, created by my old friend to bring me and Galanas together. Yet my mysterious friend always had plans within plans. The dream continued. I sat on the cliff, alone with my solitude, and stared at the infinite expanse of ocean. Galanas sat beside me and wrapped his arms about me. My liege, I love you, but I don't remember why I love you, I said. We will discover that together, Galanas said, for we have time to love, to live, to be as we have always wanted to be. Where are we? I asked. A place that knows no time, no injury. Often we had kissed, I remembered that, but not with the love we felt then. Only one jewel remained. Doctor, he's stabilized, Morgan said. I woke in a room with dim lights, an odd pain in my arm from the IV needle, a blood pressure sensor on my finger, and a heartbeat monitor gave even rhythmic pulses. I wore a simple, pale blue hospital gown. Where am I? I said. You're at Avalon, General, Morgan said, gloating. Here you'll remain. What do you remember? I remember this exhibit of beautiful stones, then a strange dream. Not surprising, Morgan said. Her smile revealed the corruption on her teeth. Your heart stopped 6 times. But not a 7th. The old man in the business suit said. Morgan froze. The world stopped, as if someone had hit the pause button. You have lost, Morgana, for I have the energies aligned in conjunction with the stars. Are you ready to go home, my king? I don't remember any of this. In time, the old man held me out of the bed. With a simple wave, the IV, the sensors, and the monitors became silent. Take an old man's arm, for this time we take your soul and your body. I took his arm, and somewhere the final tear vanished, as did we. The hospital faded from view, only to be replaced by a large bonfire. Galanas stood next to it and smiled as we appeared. He held a crown inlaid with 7 moonstones. The old man released me. I will return, my king, but first I must deal with the wayward sorceress. I turned, but I knew he would be gone. I never understood the ways of wizards. Galanas, my love, I said. My hospital gown flapped about me. You must tell me everything, because I don't remember much. In time. But first, tell me this, my liege. What are you wearing? My love said, and took my hand.